Hey everyone, welcome to another beautiful rainy day here in the beautiful state of Oregon. Today what I'm going to be talking to you about is this upper receiver here. This is an 11.5 inch 5.56 upper from BCM. I've had this thing for quite a few months now. I've definitely put it through the ringer in the amount of time that I've had it, run it through a class, shot it a bunch, been involved in a lot of testings. I guarantee you've probably seen it on my channel if you've been following me for any length of time. So today is finally the day I'm going to be doing my review of it. Hopefully have some interesting talking points to bring to you during this video. Should probably come as no surprise that I really like this thing. So if time is of the essence and you're considering getting one of these, just get one. If you want to see me qualify that statement, by all means stick around, watch the rest of the review. Let me hit the specs on it and show you some footage of me stretching this thing out to almost 300 yards. So anyway, before I get too far ahead of myself though, I feel like I've already been talking too much. Let's just go ahead and run through some footage of me actually shooting this thing, and then we'll get a little bit more in depth. Hey! Now, if you go to BCM's website, they're going to have a whole long explanation about all the specs on this rifle, all the parts that go into it. I'm going to take some of the high points and put them over here on this side of the screen. Feel free to pause it, take a look at it, but what I'd really encourage you to do is just go to the product page for this thing. I'll have it in the link below, and just read all the stuff that BCM has written about this. It's going to cover a lot more than I can in this video, even if I tried. So with that said though, again, feel free to pause that. This is an 11.5 inch barrel, chambered in 5.56. It is got the KMR alpha rail wrapped around the front of it. This is my first alpha rail. If you guys have seen the 16 inch full BCM rifle review that I've done, that was the original KMR rail. They more recently, in the last couple of years, came out with the alpha rails, and still something that I really like. And I believe, as you can see, this one's key mod. I got this before they started coming out with the M-Lock versions. If I could do it over again, probably get one of the M-Lock versions, but nonetheless, the key mod works absolutely fine. Can hear more rain coming, so hopefully I'll just have to talk over that and you guys can still hear what I'm saying. Now, obviously I have a lot of stuff attached to this, and it's even painted, so it looks pretty different than the way you're actually going to get it from BCM, other than the nuts and bolts of it, of the receiver itself, the standard mil-spec dust cover, standard mil-spec forward assist, KMR rail, and then it's still got the carbine length gas system that comes on it from BCM. I believe mine came with a standard A2 bird cage. I have swapped that out for the Strike Industries Sail Comp. I'm not sure if that's going to focus in on there. It's a really effective brake and comp. I don't know how much longer it's going to be staying on this rifle, because it is pretty punishing for anyone that's around me shooting it. And I'd eventually like to switch to something that's a little bit more friendly, I guess you could say. But in the meantime, it's working very well. I have the CAG vertical grip from BCM on here. Really like this thing. If you guys want, I can do a dedicated review on this thing in the future. I have a Streamlight ProTac Rail 1. Really like these lights. Got a review on those. Got the Aero Precision metal flip-up sights. Again, have a review on those. And then to top it off, I have a MD-ADS, the Primary Arms Advanced Microdot, on an American Defense Manufacturing's mount. And then as far as what I have inside, it is a, not sure if you'll be able to see that, it is a Spikes Tactical Phosphate Bulk Carrier Group, and a Strike Industries Arc L charging handle. Now you may be wondering how I have the sling attached. That's actually with one of the included QD rail section slots that you can get, that at least came with my upper receiver. I'm assuming if you order an upper from BCM, yours will come with one too. Don't hold me to that. I have no control over what they ship with the rifles, but mine did. So that's how I have that sling attached up there. And then just for reference, this is a Vickers padded sling. Really like it. As far as the lower right now, it's just on my Spikes Tactical SBR lower, which just recently got the addition of the Strike Industries PDW Viper stock. Been testing this thing a lot. It's been functioning 100% with this upper, so that's good. Been having issues with 300 blackout subsonic, even with silencers, so still need to do some diagnosing there, but otherwise it's been working well. Anyway, talking about a lot of stuff that is not this upper, so let's try to refocus in and then tell you about the accuracy that I've been able to get with this upper receiver. Now I'll have to track down which video it is. I'll have a link to it below, and I'll have a title at the bottom of the screen telling you which video it is. I believe it was a silencer review, perhaps the Griffin Recce 5. But when I was doing that silencer review, I was using it on this upper receiver, and I was doing some groups just to see if the silencer affected accuracy at all. And it was also one of the first times that I'd really kind of pushed this thing as far as accuracy. And I can say I was extremely impressed. Once I found a load that I really liked, I believe it was the 40 grain VMAX from Fiocchi. I literally, granted it was at 50 yards, but I literally had a one hole group with 5 rounds. Now, from there, I've obviously done a lot more testing with it. I have that in a bunch of other videos, so I'm not going to take a whole lot of time to talk about the accuracy here. However, I can comfortably say 1.5 inch groups are easy at 100 yards. Again, once you find a load that it likes, which shouldn't be too hard, even with standard 55 grain full metal jacket stuff, your standard M193 stuff, it works just fine. Specifically, the thing I've run through it the most is the Fiocchi 55 grain full metal jacket. I ran 1,200 rounds or so of that just through one 2-day class alone, which I'll talk to a little bit more here in a second. But yeah, it just eats what I put down it, and then it seems to shoot it really well. To demonstrate just how, I guess, still effective this thing is, even with the 11.5 inch barrel, what I'm going to do is show you some footage from a little bit ago when I was shooting at some steel targets at 283 yards with the incline effectively 230. So let's go ahead and cut to that right now. What I'm going to hopefully do now, and I don't think you can see it because it's like right about there-ish, there's a steel target at 283 yards with the incline. It's effectively 290 yards. I'm going to go ahead and just try it with this BCM upper, again with this PDW stock from Strike Industries. Might take me a couple shots to figure out exactly what my hold is. Once I feel like I got a good idea where my hold is, I'm going to go ahead and just zoom in on the target so you can see exactly what it is I'm shooting at. But yeah, I guess let's go ahead and see. I'm using a Magwell base, so we'll see if, if I can still be successful. Can't tell if that was a hit or not. If it's hitting, it's not hitting with much authority. Yeah, it's definitely a hit. Yeah, so we're definitely hitting. So I'm going to zoom in, and then hopefully you'll be able to track these shots with me. Okay. Alright, and just for reference, let's zoom back out here. Just for reference, my point of aim was like maybe 1 dot's width above the steel. I kind of varied around in there. I'm sure if I had a more stable rest, Probably would have done a little bit better for all I know. A couple of those were canted one way or the other. So that can obviously have a pretty significant impact once you get out to 300 yards or 283. But I mean, definitely consistent hits with zero magnification. My eyes and my shooting ability. We were shooting Fiocchi shooting Fiocchi 55 grain full metal jacket. So the upper can do its part as long as the shooter can do theirs. So needless to say, even though this is an 11.5 inch barrel, it's definitely easily minute a man accurate out to at least 300 yards, probably further than that. But again, with a zero magnification optic, it's pretty much relying on me as a shooter 100% at that point and how my eyes can see. So take that for what it is, but definitely acceptable for me. Now, again, because this is an 11.5 inch barrel, I'm sacrificing a lot in the way of velocity. We'll go ahead and put some average velocities at the bottom of the screen with a couple different bullet weights just for reference. But you could probably tell from the footage that it wasn't really hitting the steel with any sense of authority. And that's really what you're giving up when you come to these shorter barrels. So this, for me, as far as I'm concerned, is 150 yards and in is what this thing is kind of set for. If I have to stretch it out further, I can definitely make the hits. Is the bullet going to be as effective? No, but I still wouldn't want to be hit at 400 yards by, a bullet traveling out of one of these. So take that for what it is. But it's, again, definitely accurate enough to hit at extended ranges, at least as far as the shooters doing their part. Now, kind of going on with that though, I want to go ahead and talk about why I went with an 11.5. Now, the shortest that the military uses, at least in any large numbers, is a 10.3 inch barrel. That's, the Mark 18 uppers that you've probably seen and heard about a lot on the internet. And those seem to work just fine. I have a 10.3 inch barrel from Strike Industries and it works just fine. It's plenty accurate. But again, being that it's a 5.56, that it gets all of its efficacy from the velocity. And it's amazing how much of a difference even 1 inch will do. Just ask my girlfriend. Actually don't, because I don't want her to know the actual measurements of things. Anyway, and to kind of demonstrate that more, in very, very near future, I'm going to be doing a video testing barrel lengths all the way from 7.5 inches up to 20 inches, all either 5.56 or 223 wild barrels, just so we can kind of get a quantitative difference as we take those step ups incrementally across the 3 different bullet weights. I'm anxious to see the results. I'm anxious to kind of see that qualitative difference between them. So if you guys subscribe to my channel, you guys will see that video once it's up. But I'm going to be demonstrating just how much of a difference those inches can make, especially while we're still in the shorter barrels, like 10.3 inch barrels up to like 12.5 inch barrels, even up to 14.5.
No, just up, down here, not side to side. Good, good, nice, nice. Sam hit. Hit! Cover! Try to get behind cover!
Before I wrap up my thoughts, I just kind of want to give you an overview of my experience with this upper receiver. As I mentioned towards the beginning of the video, I put this thing through a pretty tough trial right off the bat. Basically, as soon as I got it, it went straight onto this SBR lower that I'd already had SBR'd, thankfully. And I put it through a really quick zero process and kind of break-in process with this Spikes Tactical Bolt Carrier Group, maybe 50 rounds. Before I took it straight to a 1,200 round American Rifleman course from Spartan Training Concepts. Now obviously 1,200 rounds in 2 days is nothing to sniff at, so that's a pretty good test of it anyway. But it was very reminiscent weather to this, plenty of rain and mud in the first day. Wasn't as rainy the second day, but we still had plenty of mud left over. So this thing got extremely dirty. If I can find pictures, I'll roll it in from when I cleaned it immediately afterward. And this thing just kept chugging. The only issue I had was, for whatever reason, it didn't want to run with the Spikes Tactical Bolt Carrier Group right off the bat. So what I did is, since I brought a backup rifle with me, I took the BCM bolt carrier group out of my 16-inch rifle and put it into this, and then from that point on I had literally zero malfunctions related to the gun. The only malfunctions I had was at one point I ran out of ammo, so I had another guy going through that drill with me tossed me one of his mags. It was a Tapco mag. Put it in and it just would not feed. Because it's the Tapco mag, and because that's literally the only time I've had an issue like that, I'm gonna go ahead and blame that on the mag and not the rifle. But again, other than that and the couple issues I had with the BCG right off the bat, had zero issues with this. Now, after the class, after things had been nice and worn in, I put the Spikes Tactical bolt carrier group back in, and it's been running fine ever since. So not really exactly sure what to put the blame on there, but just FYI, it does have that Spikes Tactical bolt carrier group in here now, and it's been running just fine. Now, after taking that class, again, putting it through a pretty hefty introduction, what I did is I've been using this in a bunch of other videos, whether it be silencer reviews. So this thing has been shot suppressed a lot, and it shoots just fine. Again, as I mentioned earlier, one whole group with the right ammo out of a silencer. And then I've also been using this, again, because I've been trusting the reliability implicitly, is I've been using this to do reliability and torture tests of a couple different magazines. I'll be doing more here soon. The only issue is, since I put this PDW stock on, I wanted to get a few hundred rounds through it to make sure it was reliable before testing magazines, because I didn't want the issue to actually lie in the stock and be blaming that on the magazines. But again, it's been running 100% so far, so I'll either pick the testing back up with this rifle or use my 16-inch BCM rifle, which has been just as reliable as well. Once I make up my mind, you guys will start seeing more of those videos, so I guess stay tuned for that as well. Again, subscribe if you're not already. So, I mean, to recap, at this point, I probably have well over 2,000 rounds through this thing, most of which is that Fiocchi 55 grain full metal jacket, which I know this thing loves. As far as accuracy, it does seem to like the heavier bullets a little bit more, but again, kind of on the polar opposite end, that one whole group was with 40 grain ammo, so it seems to shoot everything pretty well. I haven't found anything that it just absolutely hates, but then again, I also haven't been running ultra cheap ammo through it. Maybe if I got steel cased ammo, it'd probably still feed it, but it might struggle with groups. But again, I think that's more the ammo than the gun at that point. So again, through 2,000 rounds, I could not be happier with this thing. I think it looks great with that stencil rattle can job that I did using stencils from Freedom Stencils. So other than just feeling good, shooting good, it looks good, but you know, that's something I did myself. I have a video on that as well. But honestly, I really couldn't be happier with it, and especially when you consider the price that these things are coming in at, especially right now. I think I looked before coming out here today. Granted, it's around Black Friday, so there might be some sales going on that might ordinarily not be going on, but you can get the upper Sans bolt carrier group and with a standard A2 bird cage for under $600. That's crazy good. Now, yeah, it's direct gas impingement, but that hasn't been an issue for me, even through dirty rounds and suppressed. So I don't know why anyone would want to spend more than that on an upper receiver, personally. I mean, the KMR Alpha rails are great, especially now that they're going to be available in Keymod. I don't know if it's going to be still called the KMR Alpha, considering the K in KMR, I'm pretty sure has to do with Keymod. But whatever the BCM rails are in M-Lock, you're going to get a rifle that you're going to be happy with. Now, obviously, BCM does do their complete rifles. I think they're also doing pistols now also, at least in 300 Blackout, probably 5.56 as well, if I had to guess. But I mean, even if you already have a lower, especially an SBR lower already, or if you have a pistol lower, getting a upper receiver that's been as good as this one has, again, for under $600, obviously more if you want like the Gunfighter break and the BCM bolt carrier group, I really don't think you can do better. I genuinely believe that. Now, obviously, I'm a big fan of BCM, from my 16-inch rifle down to this one. I really couldn't be happier. Hence why I've used them in a lot of my rifles, especially ones I trust my life to. And just in case people start wondering, I did pay full retail price for this. So everything that you're hearing is 100% my genuine opinion on this thing. Not that I would say any different if this was provided to me, but just in case people were wondering, I did pay for this. So take that for what that is, I guess. So to wrap up, I mean, if you're looking for a really high quality upper receiver that's going to last you a lifetime and be ruggedly reliable for you, be durable, be able to handle whatever you put it through, definitely give BCM a look. I'll have a link to the website below. They also sell similar 11.5-inch uppers with like the A2 front post, so you can drop in whatever handguard you want, or you can get it with the M-Lock or the Key Mod or the 1913 rails. Pretty much whatever flavor you like, you can get it in. This is just what's worked for me, and obviously, again, I have it set up very similar to my 16-inch BCM rifle, just so that there's a lot of crossover there, so I don't have to totally relearn a rifle going from one to the other. But I mean, obviously, with all that said, if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead and throw those in the comment section down below. I'll try to get back to you as quick as I can. If you're interested, I do have a Patreon page. I'll have a link to that below as well. I post all my videos there early, as well as some Patreon exclusive videos there as well. So do with that information what you will. I can say that the people who are supporting me on there are definitely doing a lot, helping me out with buying ammo or whatever else I have to do to keep this channel going smoothly and producing regular videos. But again, do with that information what you will. I'm not going to tell you you have to, but I definitely appreciate it if you do check that out at the very least. But with all that said, as always, I hope you're able to get something out of this video, and I really appreciate you watching.